Welcome back, everyone. It's been quite a journey, wouldn't you say? I mean, diving into synchronicity like
Absolutely
this,
really has.
from Jung and all that psychology stuff to
Y
like trying to figure out if science can actually explain these crazy coincidences.
Yeah.
And then there's how it all ties into, consciousness,
Yeah.
like both individually and for like all of us together.
It's mind-blowing, really.
Totally. And, today we're taking things even further, going deeper with this whole idea of the harvest.
Oh, yeah, the harvest.
Which, by the way, comes from the Law of One. And those texts are, let me tell you, a wild ride in themselves.
Definitely. Dense, for sure, but man, it really gets you thinking.
It does. Like, they're basically suggesting that we're right on the edge of this huge shift in consciousness, like, for everyone and everything.
And the harvest is all about that transition.
So let's break it down. This harvest thing sounds intense, right?
Yeah, it does. It's like, well, imagine a harvest, right?
Mm.
But instead of crops, it's consciousness that's being harvested. The law of one suggests that, like, we're all evolving, becoming more aware, more spiritually mature, and the harvest is, like, the peak of that whole process.
So it's not like someone's actually gathering something up. It's more like a shift in, what, awareness?
Yeah, like a graduation of sorts.
Half like that.
And they're saying this shift is taking us toward a completely new state of being, what they call fourth density.
Okay, fourth density. Hit me with that one.
It's described as like a place where love and harmony and understanding just like permeates everything. You're not so focused on material stuff anymore. And connections happen through thought and feeling.
Wait, so less stuff, more vibes.
Basically.
It sounds almost like a different dimension.
And that's where things get really interesting. The law of one talks about how, like, the structure of reality itself is changing, even down to, like, the cellular level.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like we're literally evolving to vibrate at a higher frequency,
Yeah.
one that's all about this density of love, as they put it.
This is getting pretty wild. Are we talking like mass enlightenment here?
Yeah.
Everyone just suddenly waking up and realizing we're all connected.
Not necessarily sudden. The law of one says it's more gradual, but it's speeding up as we get closer to the end of a major cosmic cycle.
Whoa, back up. Cosmic cycle. What does that have to do with the harvest and all this fourth density business?
So the law of one talks about this 25,000-year cycle that, like, governs how consciousness evolves.
Okay.
And it's tied to this idea that our sun actually has a companion star, a brown dwarf.
Yeah.
And as we orbit this, like, binary system, we go through these cycles of, spiritual growth and transformation.
So you're saying there are like astronomical forces at play here influencing our spiritual evolution.
Exactly. And it's all directly connected to the harvest.
This is a lot to take in.
The law of one says that we're basically nearing the end of one of these 25,000-year cycles, and that's, like, amplifying the energy available for spiritual growth, making the shift to fourth density, well, more accessible.
It's like all these forces are lining up like a cosmic convergence to make this harvest happen.
Exactly. And here's the really fascinating part. We're not just along for the ride. The law of one is super clear that we have free will, and we can actively participate in this whole shift.
So it's not happening to us. It's something we can actually choose to be a part of.
Absolutely. It's like we're all getting this invitation to evolve, to step into this new reality of, greater love and understanding.
Wow. Okay, so we've got this harvest, this shift to fourth density, this massive cosmic cycle pushing us toward like greater spiritual awareness. But like, what does it all mean for us right here, right now? What can we actually do to prepare for this transition?
That's the big question, and it's exactly what we're going to be exploring in the rest of our deep dive.
I'm definitely ready to dive deeper. This is already some heavy stuff, and I have a feeling we're just scratching the surface. But before we jump into the practical steps, maybe we can unpack this fourth density concept a little more. Like, what would life actually be like in a reality where love and harmony are the dominant forces?
Great question. The law of one actually gives us some pretty intriguing glimpses into what fourth density might entail. It's definitely worth exploring. Okay, so we've talked about the harvest and this big shift to fourth density, all driven by this, like, massive cosmic cycle. But what does fourth density even look like? It's kind of hard to, like, wrap your head around, right?
Yeah, I'm picturing like a Star Trek episode with everyone floating around, sipping space tea and like reading each other's minds.
Well, maybe not exactly like that. And
Yeah.
a law of one describes it more as a realm where communication goes beyond words, Like, imagine feeling completely understood without even having to explain yourself, like intuition and empathy just dialed up to 11.
That sounds amazing, honestly.
Yeah.
But also maybe a little scary. Like, no more hiding behind sarcasm.
It might take some getting used to, for sure.
Yeah.
But imagine a world where conflicts just kind of dissolve because everyone can, like, feel each other's true intentions.
I see what you mean. Less drama, more energy for, actually growing and evolving.
Right. And as for the whole physical body thing, it's not that we become like formless blobs of consciousness.
Oh, good.
The law of one suggests that our bodies become lighter, more energy-based.
Okay.
So it's not about losing our physical form completely, but it's like less dense, less defining. Remember, our cells are literally changing to align with this density of love.
So no floating orbs, but maybe more like uh, beings of light. I can kind of see that. But here's
Yeah.
the thing. If we're really on the verge of this massive shift, shouldn't we be seeing more of it in the world around us?
That's a great point, and this is where things get really interesting. David Wilcock, in the Synchronicity Key, connects this whole harvest idea to what he calls a worldwide third act.
Okay, worldwide third act. Lay it on me.
It's like we're all in the final act of a play, right? Where everything comes to a head, all the like underlying tension and conflict.
So what's the conflict in this cosmic play we're all in?
Think of it as like a battle between the forces of love and fear, light and shadow. And as we move closer to fourth density, those forces are becoming more like polarized, more intense. Wilcock's idea is that this is playing out all around us right now with all the social unrest and political stuff and this general feeling that things are kind of, unstable.
So all the chaos and division we're seeing is actually part of this, like, grand evolutionary plan. That's a pretty bold statement.
It is. It might seem counterintuitive, but think of it like a cosmic detox. All the negativity that's been like buried or ignored is coming to the surface so we can deal with it, heal it.
Like a cosmic purge before we can level up.
Exactly.
Huh.
So we're in this messy middle part of the transition, right?
Right.
It's not all rainbows and unicorns, but there's a purpose to it all. But with all this negativity coming up, how do we navigate it without getting like sucked into the drama?
Right, because it's easy to get caught up in all that.
That's where choice comes in. Remember, the harvest isn't just something that happens. It's about conscious evolution. We're not just passengers, we're active participants. And the choices we make really matter.
So it's about choosing love over fear, even when things feel, intense or scary.
Absolutely. And it's also about recognizing that we're not alone in this.
Yeah.
The law of one is big on the idea that we have guidance, both from within and from like higher realms of consciousness.
Okay.
It's about trusting the process, even when things feel uncertain.
Having faith over fear, basically.
Exactly. But, you might be asking, okay, but how do we tap into that guidance?
Yeah, it all sounds a little, vague sometimes.
It's about cultivating a sense of like inner stillness, being present, meditation, spending time in nature, doing creative things. All of that can help quiet the mind and connect us with our inner wisdom.
And of course, paying attention to synchronicity, right?
Right. Those meaningful coincidences can be like, signposts pointing us in the right direction.
So it's not about waiting for some big message from the heavens. It's about noticing those little nudges, those synchronicities that are already happening all around us.
Exactly. It's about becoming more sensitive to the like whispers of the universe.
That's actually really empowering. It's not about some external force controlling our destiny.
Yeah.
It's about becoming more aware of the guidance that's already there.
It really is. And it's about trusting our intuition, that inner voice that speaks through synchronicity. The more we listen to it, the more in tune we become with like the flow of the universe, and the smoother this whole transition to fourth density becomes.
Okay, so we're starting to see how everything connects, right? The harvest, fourth density, this cosmic cycle, all the negativity surfacing, and synchronicity guiding us through it all. It's a lot to process.
It is. It's totally understandable to feel, overwhelmed sometimes. But remember, this is a journey, not a destination.
Right. One step, one synchronicity at a time. But let's get practical here. If we're being called to evolve, to embrace this shift to fourth density, what are some concrete steps we can actually take to prepare ourselves?
That's the million-dollar question, and it's what we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay, so we've explored this big, overarching concept of the harvest, a shift to fourth density reality driven by this huge cosmic cycle. And we talked about all the challenges, with the negativity surfacing and how important it is to choose love over fear. But now I think it's time to get down to the nitty-gritty. What can we actually do to prepare ourselves for this transition?
That's the question everyone's asking, right? And luckily, the Law of One and other spiritual teachings actually offer some pretty practical guidance.
Okay.
The thing is, we're not just like sitting around twiddling our thumbs waiting for this harvest to magically happen. We're already participating in it, whether we're conscious of it or not.
So we're already in the game, but how do we, play it well? What are the moves we can make to navigate this transition smoothly?
One of the most important things is to cultivate self-awareness.
Okay.
Sky Nelson Isaacs, in his book Living in Flow, talks about a process he calls LORAX. It stands for listen, open, reflect, release, act, repeat. It's this, framework for aligning with the flow of life, becoming more aware of our choices and how they shape our reality.
Lorax. I like it. It's catchy. But what does it actually, look like in practice?
Well, it all starts with listening. Paying attention to those subtle nudges from the universe, the synchronicities that might be, guiding us toward our highest potential.
So tuning in, expanding our perspective. What's next?
Then comes reflection, taking the time to process our experiences, to understand the lessons they're offering,
Got
and
it.
then releasing. Letting go of the things that aren't serving us anymore, like old patterns, negative emotions, those kinds of things.
That's a big one. Letting go can be really hard.
It can, but it's so essential for making space for this new reality we're moving towards.
Makes sense. So we've listened, opened up, reflected, and released. Now what?
Now it's time for action. Taking those inspired steps towards creating the life we want, aligning our actions with our deepest values.
I like that. And I'm guessing the X repeat part means this isn't a one-time thing, right?
Exactly. It's a cycle, of continuous growth and evolution.
So it's about making this a way of life. Tuning in, opening up, reflecting, releasing, acting, and repeating. I can see how that could create some serious momentum for change.
It does, and it all ties back to what the Law of One says about vibrational frequency. The more we practice Lorax, the more we align ourselves with love, harmony, and understanding, and the higher our vibration becomes, and the more prepared we are for this transition to fourth density.
It's like we're actively raising our vibration to match the frequency of this new reality.
Exactly. And one really important part of raising our vibration is forgiveness.
Forgiveness, huh?
Yeah, forgiving ourselves for past mistakes, forgiving others for any hurt they may have caused us. Holding on to resentment and anger just weighs us down, keeps us stuck in lower vibrations.
Forgiveness is powerful, but it's not always easy. Any advice for those of us who, struggle with it?
It's important to remember that forgiveness isn't about saying what happened was okay. It's about freeing ourselves from the negativity that keeps us tied to the past. It's a gift we give ourselves, a way to lighten our load and move forward with more peace and clarity.
That makes sense. And speaking of things that hold us back, how do we deal with fear? I mean, with all this talk of global shifts and cosmic transformations, fear could be a pretty big obstacle to embracing this transition.
Fear is totally natural, especially when faced with the unknown. But the key is to not let it paralyze us. We're not alone in this journey. The Law of One reminds us that we have guidance, both from within and from higher realms of consciousness. It's about trusting the process, even when things feel uncertain.
So choosing faith over fear.
Exactly. And how do we access that higher guidance? It's about cultivating a sense of inner stillness, of presence. Things like meditation, spending time in nature, being creative. All of that can help quiet the mind and connect us with our inner wisdom. And of course, paying attention to synchronicity.
Right, those meaningful coincidences that can act like signposts, pointing us in the right direction.
Exactly. It's about becoming more mindful, more present, more tuned in to the subtle language of the universe.
So to wrap it all up, preparing for the harvest is about cultivating self-awareness, embracing forgiveness, letting go of fear, and trusting the process. It's about aligning ourselves with love, harmony, and understanding, and paying attention to the synchronicities that are guiding us toward our highest potential.
Beautifully said. And maybe the most important thing to remember is that we have the power within us to create the reality we desire. The harvest isn't about waiting for some external event to save us. It's about choosing to be the change we want to see in the world. Every act of love, every moment of synchronicity, every step we take towards greater understanding, all of it is contributing to a more harmonious and enlightened reality.
That's a powerful message to end on. Thank you so much for taking us on this deep dive into the harvest and the incredible journey we're all on. It's been truly eye-opening, and I'm sure our listeners are feeling inspired to embrace the mystery and step into this new reality with courage and open hearts.
Follow Synchronicity Keys with Cecilia. For me, synchronicity isn't just a concept. It's the rhythm I walk, the breath I live. Now, let's delve into its hidden mechanics together, uncover the unseen forces at play, and align with the flow to co-create a reality shaped by synchronicity.